Hello and welcome back to part 3 of the DIY force feedback yoke project. And in this video we're going to be removing that front TV stand that I am going to be replacing with legs instead of the pole in the middle, and also extending the table about 8 inches so the full pitch travel can be made, because right now that table isn't deep enough to have full travel on the sliding rails of the mechanism. So I already have the wood cut out to build the table. I just have to put the legs on, and we're going to add it to behind there and extend it all the way to the wall. We might even move some of the Arduino boards around a little bit. I have some ideas to make it a little bit better with cable management. Not sure if it's going to be this video or the next video, so let's get started. Here are the pieces that I cut out for the table. We have a plywood piece that is about 8 inches in depth. We also have the 2 legs, which are 2x6s, and the center support leg, which is a 2x4, and it's just stopping the table from warping and caving in. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the TV stand, just 4 bolts that's holding it down, so let's do that. Alright, so off camera, because you couldn't really see what I was doing because it was all the way under the panel, I unscrewed the 4 bolts that are holding the stand to the floor, so it should just lift straight up. Okay, and here it is. The old TV stand. Okay, so I just added 3 extra legs, so the panel table behind there normally ended right where you see this plywood table end. I added the center one, and I added the one on the end. And I have this plywood, and it's going to lay right across those, and I'm going to screw into each leg. Alright, let's set this table down and screw it on. Alright, so there is the table extended. You can see the seam right across there where it was, and that's the extension beyond it. So we have plenty of room for the yokes now. Came up pretty good. Okay, so this is a different day, and I have moved one of my Arduino boards to behind the center console here, and I have everything in the general area of the center console now plugged into that. So the fuel selector, fuel shutoff, landing gear, what's going to be the parking brake, and anything else that would be in this area is going to be going into that Arduino board. And then I also moved the one that I originally had here for the Arduino Mega. This will be attached to the panel, the back side of the panel, and anything that is related to the panel will only be plugged into this. So everything is like on its own and separated, so there's no wires going all over the place. So that's pretty much all I have for this episode. I know it wasn't very long, but I think the next part in this force feedback series is actually going to be starting the real mechanism. I have pretty much all the parts that I need to build the mechanisms. I want to start a fresh video on that next part, because I want to keep all the mechanism related content on its own and not mixed in with what we did in today's video. So I know that was short, but stay tuned for the next video where we actually start the mechanism for the force feedback yokes. And I can give you a sneak peek of what I have and how it's going to generally work. So I was starting to fool around with some of the sliding rails. So these are the linear rails. They're not screwed down yet, but you can see them there. And then I have to add this little carriage that has ball bearings inside of it, and that goes onto the shaft, and it slides on both sides. And then I'll put this plywood on top of it, so it will slide like this, and that's going to be mirrored on this side and this side. There's going to be a duplicate of this exact same thing on the right side. This is what's called a pillow block, and it's just a ball bearing that you put your yoke shaft in, and it will spin freely and very smoothly. That's going to be how the roll mechanically works. And there's going to be the shaft of the yoke is going to go into that like this. I received the force feedback motors from VP Force, and I got the 57BLF03 motors, and it also came with a little control board that integrates it with their software. I also have the 3:1 gear ratio pulleys. These were from Amazon, and it's a 60 tooth and a 20 tooth pulley. There's a belt that connects the two. So the motor will go on this one, and the yoke will go on this one. So when the motor turns this one, it'll amplify it 3 times when this one rotates to give it more force and more strength and more power. So that's all I have for you in this part. Stay tuned for the next one where we actually build it. See you then.